Hello, Paige.
Hi, Mr. Hiroshi.
All right, so let's get started. So we have another question from the student who asked the question before, the same student, okay? And I answered the question with Jenny, but anyway, he has like really high score on TOEIC, but he says he can't speak, right? So can you read the question for me?
Sure, sir. He says, I have 900 on TOEIC, but I can barely speak. I think LS and RW might be too difficult for my level, but is it no problem to take them?
Okay, right, thank you. So what do you think is happening with this guy?
I think this is very typical of English learners. I think that they study very hard and prepare for exams, and a preparation for an exam is entirely different from actually learning the language, because I think exams are all about patterns, finding the pattern in the questions and in the answers. And once you've got that figured out, you can really test well. You know, there are people who...
I agree, even though I was never good at tests. I have but those multiple choice questions, typically there are like 4 questions. One is like completely out of that question. It's like, oh, this one's obviously wrong. And so it's really just 1 out of 3. But there's another one that's very wrong as well. So it's typically just choosing one from either 2. So it's not that difficult once you get used to it.
Exactly, sir.
Whereas speaking, you have all the vocabulary and grammar rules that you have in your bucket. You have to take out the right thing at the right moment and connect it out. That's a very different process.
Exactly, sir. Absolutely different.
Right. So, yeah. So it really takes different type of practice and preparation and all that. Okay. Right. So let's move on to the second question, which is like, I think LS and RW might be too difficult for my level, but is it no problem to take them? What do you think?
Well, I think generally maybe it is not a problem to take either of these classes, but if he or she genuinely feels not prepared for LS, for example, then I recommend taking daily conversation or DC class instead, because in that class, they get to learn more vocabulary, more expressions, and have like a designated topic per day. So it allows them some time to be comfortable with being engaged in a conversation and build vocabulary. Whereas in LS, you know, they get to listen to audio with native speakers and then much more complex topics. And then there's a time-bounded speech. So maybe that's a lot of pressure for them. So I think daily conversation would be great. However, RW, I think RW is very flexible. We can prepare material and questions that are appropriate for whatever level the student has. So I don't think they need to worry about taking RW, sir.
Yeah, I agree. So like LS, you know, with that time-bounded speech, a lot of people are afraid. It's like, oh my God, 2 minutes, what am I gonna say, right? And then that 2 minutes window build pressure to you. But that's a great class if you're like intermediate level already and you want to pressure yourself and improve even more. So like if you're like out of this beginner level, I recommend LS. Listening and speaking. But like if you're like afraid, like you said, start with daily conversation, and that'd be probably less scary. And then with the RW, like you have to start thinking in English and then express it, whether that's in a speaking form or writing form, right?
Yes.
You're not trying to take tests anymore. You're trying to improve your output.
Right. Express yourself.
Yeah, and that's a different use of your brain. So if you want to improve that, I think you gotta start taking, you know, either conversational class or writing classes.
I agree, sir, absolutely.
Yeah, okay, cool. So let's wrap this up. So the number one thing is, number one, maybe he has been studying for the test too much. And maybe he needs to shift gears and start studying to speak, you know. So shift your gear, I would say. And so number two, can he take a LS and RW? Absolutely. However, if you're afraid, start with DC, daily conversation. Right. Okay, then number three, if I'm to add something, I think you really have to start thinking in English. And then express yourself simultaneously, right?
Yes.
In the real conversation, there's like no time to even think. You just have to react, right?
No prep time.
Yep, yeah. And I had so many moments where I would be mumbling like, oh, and then the listener, you know, what that could be my teacher or friend or some stranger, they be like, okay, forget it. Then the conversation's over, which was kind of sad. Those are the early days. Anyway, so that's it. Anything to add?
Actually, just one thing, sir. I think it's a lot about confidence, and yes,
Very
because
true.
like right, because I think, sir, when you're an adult and you're learning English, you know, there's this information overload, and you're like, oh my God, it's too much, and you become intimidated. And I think they should remember, you know how young children that don't really study English, but somehow speak English very confidently, even if the grammar is wrong. So it's all about confidence. So try to have that childlike confidence, and I think you will be very effective and perform much better with your learning.
That's a really good point. You know, like when you move to a different country, let's say you're already 30 and then you move to United States, let's say.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, your level of communication drops from this adult level to like 4-year-old, which really bruises your ego. It's like,
yes.
And so, but then you can't be afraid forever, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but then like you said, if you're in a way something like a 4-year-old, right? When you're trying to speak a foreign language. So start from there. And then
just be confident.
Right. And then over time, you know, you're gonna pick it up very quickly, actually. If you're a real 4-year-old, you have to figure out the world, right?
Yes.
Not just the language. But yeah, when you're grown up, you already know the world. You just need to know the language. So
Right.
yeah, learning is not gonna be not as long as 4-year-old, you know. That's how I feel. Okay, I guess that concludes this question.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for your time, Paige.
Thank you, sir. See you next time.
All right. So for the viewers, if you like the video, click like and then also subscribe to this channel. All right. See ya. Bye.